Chapter 27 of Angel Food, Little Talks to Little Folks by Rev Gerald T. Brennan. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Maria Therese. The Shoemaker. You all know what a shoemaker is. He's a man who makes shoes. Peter Loto was a shoemaker. One day Peter took some leather and made a pair of beautiful baby shoes. They were the finest shoes Peter Loto ever made. When the baby shoes were all finished, Peter wrapped them in tissue paper and put them in a box and put the box away up on the top shelf in his shop. Some day, Peter thought, some rich lady will come and buy my pair of pretty baby shoes. Peter forgot all about the shoes as the days went by. The day before Christmas came, and that night Peter went to confession because he wanted to receive Jesus on Christmas morning. He came home, said his prayers, and went to sleep. While asleep, Peter had a dream. In the dream, Jesus came to him, and Jesus told Peter that the next day he would walk down his street, and that, if Peter would ask him in, he would come into his shop. Then Jesus went away. In the morning, when Peter woke up, the first thing he thought about was his dream. He went to Mass, received communion, and hurried back to clean up his shop, because Jesus was coming to see him. It was an awful cold day. It was snowing hard, and there were not many people on the street. Peter sat near the window watching and waiting. Peter had seen pictures of Jesus on the windows in church. He had pictures of Jesus in his prayer book and on his bedroom walls. Peter would surely know Jesus when he came near his shop. An old man came along. His coat was all shabby and torn. He had no rubbers, and Peter called him in to get warm. After they had talked a little while, the poor old man went on his way. But Peter went back to his place at the window to watch for Jesus. He sat and watched all day, but Jesus never came. Finally, darkness began to grow. Night was coming. Peter was feeling sad. Maybe he had missed Jesus. Suddenly, a lady came down the street. The lady was a very pretty lady and also a very poor lady. She had a shawl over her head, and she seemed to be carrying a bundle. She looked cold and hungry, so Peter called the lady in to get warm. And was the lady happy? She wasn't carrying a bundle. She was carrying a little baby, and the little baby looked so cold. Peter made the lady with the baby sit near the fire, and the lady said that she was hungry. Peter set the table and brought out some food for the lady to eat. Peter said that he'd hold the baby while the lady ate her supper. So Peter took the baby up in his arms. As he held the baby, Peter noticed that the little baby had no shoes, and his little feet were very cold. And just then, Peter happened to think of his little pair of shoes away up on the top shelf. Giving the baby to the lady, Peter climbed up and brought down the shoes. And what do you think? The shoes were a perfect fit. They just fit the baby's feet. And Peter told the lady that she could have the shoes for nothing. The lady was so happy. She thanked Peter for being so kind. She thanked him a lot for the shoes, and off she went out into the cold. Now, when the pretty lady and her pretty baby had left, Peter went back to his place at the window to watch for Jesus. Well, Peter waited and watched for Jesus until 11 o'clock at night, but Jesus never came. So Peter went to bed, and once again Jesus appeared to Peter while he slept. When Peter saw Jesus, he told Jesus how he had waited for him all day and that he never came. Then Jesus smiled a big smile. "Why, Peter," Jesus said, "I was in your shop today, and you were so kind to me. That lady who carried the baby was my mother Mary, and I was the little baby to whom you gave those shoes. You were so good to me that I came back to thank you." And when Peter realized what had happened, he was so happy that he woke up from his dream, and Jesus was gone. Wasn't that a dandy story? I think it's a peach. Whenever you are good to someone, it's just the same as being good to Jesus. When you give a poor boy some of your candy, it's just like giving some of your candy to Jesus. When you help a poor lady across the street, it's just as though you were helping Jesus across the street. When you run errands for the poor old lady who is sick, it's just like running errands for Jesus. We have so many chances to be kind to people, and the best part of it is that we don't have to be rich in order to be kind. Sometimes kindness means only a little favor that doesn't cost us anything. Do you know that Jesus once said that He will pay you well if you give some person only a cup of cold water? A cup of cold water doesn't cost anything, does it? And yet, God will pay us if we are good to the poor. Do not wait, boys and girls, until you grow up to be kind. You can be kind to the little boys and girls in your room at school. You can be kind to your mother and father. Nobody likes a stingy person or a selfish person, and Jesus doesn't like him either. Be kind to the poor, the sick, and all people who are old. You've got lots of chances to be kind, and remember, when you're kind to somebody, you're being kind to Jesus Christ. End of chapter 27.